You're listening to Historical Perspectives with Mr. Malt. Learn about life by looking at our history. Teachers, for more information about historical perspectives, search Mr. Malt's Marketplace on Teachers Pay Teachers or at mrmaltmarketplace.com. Happy learning!
Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. Today we're going to jump back in and we have another special podcast topic today. This one we're going to call this one the year without a summer. So I live in Buffalo, or just outside of Buffalo, and we've definitely had days where in the middle of the summer, maybe it feels a little bit more like fall. Generally, we have some really good weather here in Buffalo in the summertime. It's pretty warm. However, we have had those days that feel like fall. Maybe it's cold, maybe it's rainy. Need a sweatshirt instead of shorts on that day. Now, imagine this. It's June, school is almost out, and the snow is falling from the sky. So we do get a lot of snow here in Buffalo. However, we generally don't get snow in the summertime. I know that sounds a little bit like maybe it's impossible, but it really did happen in the year 1816. Many places around the world experienced something a little strange and a little on the surprising side. It became known as the year without a summer. So I want to help you understand why this happened. First of all, we need to travel back a little bit to the year 1815. And we need to travel maybe a little far away as well. In April of 1815, a volcano called Mount Tambora erupted. Mount Tambora is located in Indonesia, which is on the other side of the world from the United States. This eruption, it wasn't small. It was one of the largest volcanic eruptions in recorded history. The explosion was so powerful that it destroyed villages and sent ash and gas high up into the sky. It went higher than the clouds, higher than the airplanes fly today too. So pretty high. At first, it seemed like this disaster only affected people living nearby, but the Earth, well, it kind of had other plans. You probably know this, but when volcanoes erupt, they do more than just release lava. They also release ash and gases into the air. One of those important gases is called sulfur dioxide. High above the Earth, sulfur dioxide turns into tiny little particles that float in the atmosphere. Those particles can reflect sunlight back into space. So Mount Tambora released so much sulfur dioxide that those particles spread around the entire planet. So think about this. Like I said, so we're talking about Indonesia, a place that's really, really far away from America. But these little particles, like I said, they went across the entire planet. So huge impact. It was like putting a thin, invisible blanket all around the Earth, right? So the sun was still shining, but there was less sunlight reaching the ground because of all those particles. And when less sunlight reaches Earth, the temperatures drop. So now let's head back to 1816. In 1816, people across the world began to notice something. Well, it was a little wrong. In North America, farmers woke up to frost on their crops in June. Snow fell in parts of New England. Crops were failing again and again. Farmers tried replanting, hoping warmer weather would come, but summer never really arrived. Let's jump over to Europe. In Europe, the weather was cold and rainy for months. Fields were flooded and grain was rotting. Food became harder to find. Because of all of those things, bread prices also rose. Families were struggling in this year because all of the normal things that they were depending on, those crops, everything was impacted by this. In some places, people were going hungry. What makes the story even more interesting is this. At the time, science was not like it is today. No one really knew why this was happening. There were no satellites watching Earth from space. There were no global weather maps. People had no way to know that a volcano on the other side of the world had changed the climate of the entire planet. Some people believe the weather would never, ever return to normal, which, think about it, at the time, without radio and TVs and social media, like this was super scary for people. Others searched for answers. They couldn't even understand any of this. So let's fast forward. Years later, scientists began studying all of these things. They looked at tree rings, which showed slow growth in 1816. They were looking at ice cores, which contained sulfur particles. And then they started looking at journals and newspapers, too, which described really strange weather during this time. All the clues pointed back to the same event, and that was the eruption of Mount Tambora. The year without a summer taught people something super important. It shows that Earth is super connected. What happens in one place can affect people far away. It also showed that humans can adapt. Farmers tried new crops. Communities helped one another during that time, and scientists began studying climate more closely. Today, scientists still study volcanic eruptions like Mount Tambora. They help us understand lots of things, but in particular, Earth systems and climate change, how humans respond to those challenges. This story kind of reminds us that learning from the past helps us prepare for the future. So what's the big idea from today? Well, the Earth works as one connected system. Things that happen far away can make impacts even for others across on the other side of the Earth. When we understand how the planet changes, we can make better choices for tomorrow. So I hope that was a super interesting episode. I really loved learning about Mount Tambora and finding out more about that 1816 eruption that made an impact all across the world. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you have a great day. And until next time, we'll see you.
Thanks for listening to this Historical Perspective. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe. Also, search for Historical Perspectives on Teachers Pay Teachers to learn more about other topics, such as the Golden Gate Bridge, Henry Ford, schools in the early 1900s, and so much more. Happy learning!